All right, here we go. 1.8. Here's our explore for today. Okay, oops, wrong stylus. Today's explore is a little bit different. All right, so I want you to take a look at it, read it over, see what you think. Pause the video. Take some time here. All right, hopefully you paused that video. Let's say you didn't. That's okay. This is a little bit confusing. So it says after 4 exams, her average is 80%. So if each exam is worth 100 points, okay, how many points has she earned? All right. So I want you to think about this. What's 80% of 400 points? Where does the 400 points come from? There's been 4 tests, right? And I know that her average is 80%. So she has earned 80% of those 400 points. Okay, this is why this one's a little bit weird. If I do, there we go, 0.8, which is 80% times 400. Right now, this girl has earned 320 points. So if she wants an average of an A, she would need 90% of those 500 points. Okay, so she would need 90%. So 0.9 D times 500 is 450. So there's no possible way to get from 320 to 450 on one exam. She would need to earn 130 points on one exam. And unless that teacher is offering extra credit, there's no possible way. So who is right? The friend is right. Now, if that was a little weird and confusing, that's okay. Excuse the dog in the background. All right, that was confusing to the dog too. I don't know if you can hear that. I'm going to pause it. Maybe the dog will stop barking. Okay, so it stopped. All right, so yeah, the friend was actually correct here. So let's look at it a different way here. Okay, suppose you're in the following test scores. You're in a 75, a 70, an 85, and an 80. Okay, what is your average so far? So go ahead, find the average of your test scores so far. Okay, I got an average of 77.5%. Now, how did I get that? I just added these 4 numbers together and divided by 4. Okay, so I added 75 plus 70 plus 85 plus 80, and then pressed enter, which was 310, then divided by 4, I got a 77.5. So assuming you cannot earn over 100%, would it be possible to earn a test average of an A? So is it possible for me to get this 77.5% up to an A? Well, if you think about it logically, hopefully you can understand that it's not really possible, but we might as well see. Okay, so let's see, let's just say I got 100. So I did 75 plus 70 plus 85 plus 80 plus 100. So if I get 100, I'm going to divide this by 5. If I get 100, maybe this will work. So let's say I do 410, or add those up and divide by 5. If I get 100, I get an 82% average. That would be my test average. So unless I can score something over 100, it's not going to be possible. The only way I could do it is if I scored 140%. So let's see if I scored 140%, then I would have a 90. But I don't know how many teachers are going to let you earn 40 extra percent on a test. Whoever does that is just really, really nice. I'm pretty nice, and even I wouldn't do something like that. All right, so let's keep going. Hopefully that kind of goes along with this right here. So hopefully that helped a little bit. Today is all about the mean. So here's our questions that we should be asking ourselves. Can you determine when you are being asked to find a mean, even if it's not stated as such? And do you understand how to interpret the mean as leveling off or a balancing point? So what is the mean? So a mean is you've heard of mean, median, and mode in statistics, all right, in your previous class. Those are stats terms, okay? The mean, like it says here, is the average. So I'm just taking the average of numbers. All right, that's all I'm doing. Okay, give me an example about Peyton Manning throwing the ball. You can read that over, okay? on how far he throws it per toss or per throw. Okay, how many yards he throws per throw. That's interesting. It's interesting what they did there. Peyton Manning, well, he hasn't been around for a while, but that's okay. So the graph shows enrollment in Chicago Community College in 2014, or community colleges. What is the average enrollment? Okay, so how would I find that? Well, if I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, okay, I have 7 community colleges here. This dotted line is the actual average, except we want to find what the average is. So I want you to pause this video. What you're going to do is, if we have 7 colleges, we're going to add up all 7 numbers and then divide by 7. So go ahead and do that. All right, so I added all these up and I got 100,313. If I divide that by 7, since there are 7 colleges, I get 14,330 students per college. So obviously we can tell that it's a little bit below 15, but we weren't actually sure what that was. Okay, this gives you a how to find the mean, how to find the average. We know how to do that. I've already explained it a couple times, but if you just need to see it again. Okay, there it is. All right, add whatever you add up and divide by the number of terms that you add. Okay, notice how they have the average here. That's kind of our level off point, our balancing point. I do want to talk about that. Hold on. All right, so notice in the previous graph that the area in the bars 38 and 40 above the line would fill the space below the line. Or, I don't even know what I just said. Notice in the graph, in the previous, yada, yada, yada. The mean can also be thought as a balancing point or fulcrum or a teeter-totter. One number, 24, is below the mean and balances the 2 numbers above the mean, 38 and 40, because it is so much smaller. So it's kind of thought of as our balancing point, our teeter-totter, that are, this number's in the middle, and it kind of keeps our data in balance, okay? Because they're so far apart. This is like if I were sitting on a teeter-totter, all right, I'd be adjusting the balance, all right, or I forget what that thing is, just like, God bless America, I forget what it's called, but it's like this, it looks something like this, and then there's this and this, it's like a balancing thing, and you can weigh 2 things on it, all right, and then this will go down and up, and this will go down and up, depending on how much weight is put on each of these. It actually ended up looking like a face. All right, that wasn't on purpose, but that's okay. That's what I kind of think of it as. All right, that keeps it balanced. All right, 8 servers work together at a restaurant and the following tips. Okay, so we know how to find the average. This one is a little bit better. This one ties with what we're doing next. Okay, 2 months into our biology course, Erin has taken 3 quizzes and scored 8.85. What's her average of the 3 scores? I find her average of those 3 scores. All right, so of those 3 scores, I got a 7. Okay, so then suppose the 4 scores she scores is 3 out of 10. Computer new average. How low? How does this low score affect her grade, and why is that? Go ahead. So go ahead, and now we're going to impute the new one. So I did 8 plus 8 plus 5 plus 3, and then divided by 4 because there are the 4 scores, and I got an average of 6. So how does low score factor obviously you could tell that it brought her grade down. Grade went down. Why is this true? Because a 3 is significantly lower than a 5 or an 8. All right. You could also write that here. Okay. So we're going to continue on with the scenario that we just talked about. It says Erin is unhappy with her current average and decides she wants to raise her grade to a C, or a 7 out of 10. Her 5th quiz is also worth 10 points. What will she need in order to score to bring her average back to a C? All right, so now she has scores of 8, 5, and 3. Okay, so I need one more score. I need to figure out what score, we'll call that X, will give us an average of 7. Okay, so in order to get that average of 7, all right, I need some total number of scores. So this is my total number I'm going to say sum total divided by 5, because we have 5 scores, has to give us 7. Okay? Is that, you know what I'm saying here? Sum total, we need sum total divided by 5 to get 7. Well, realistically, what divided by 5 gives me 7? If I don't know what that is, I can multiply both sides by 5 and realize that I need a total of 35. So if I add 8 plus 8 is 16, plus 5 is 21, plus 3 is 24. So right now, my total is 24, and I need 25. So what score will she need? She needs an 11. How did I get that? 35 is the score that I want. 24 is what I have. I did 35 minus 24. All right, so she needs an 11 out of 10, which may or may not be possible depending on what her teacher, what their policies are. Okay, this could have been, you could just get a guess and check also. That would work too. All right, so consider this. All right, so we're talking about average, we're talking about middle, connection to geometry here, the midpoint of a segment. So the midpoint of a segment is technically an average of 2 numbers. So if I know that I have 8 and 22, well, if I want to find the middle, I would add those 2 together and divide by 2 to get 15, and that would be in the middle. Okay, so we're throwing it back in geometry here. Midpoint. All right, midpoint can be found by adding your x's together and dividing by 2, and adding your y's together and dividing by 2 as well. Okay, notice that the midpoint of a line segment does appear to be in the middle of the segment, which makes sense, right? Find the midpoint. Here's an example. All right, if I'm given these 2 points, this is what I want to do here. Okay, and all that I'm doing x1 plus x2. So I like to think of it like this. I like to think of it as x1 plus x2. Okay, over 2, and y. I'll just write it in a new slide. Here's how I like to think of it: x1 plus x2 over 2, and then y1 plus y2. It's kind of like this. It looks like it kind of brings you back to slope, but all we're doing is adding our x's and adding our y's divided by 2. Let's practice that. Here are 2 points. Luckily for us, we have a couple fractions in there. All right, because fractions are points too. All right, so I have negative 3 over 4. This is x1. Remember, we label our points x1, y1, and then x2, y2. All right, x1 plus x2, I do negative 3 over 4 plus 1/2. Well, these aren't like terms, so I'm going to have to make, a common denominator here. I need to multiply this fraction by 2 so I can get 4. All right, 4 should be my common denominator. Negative 3 over 4 plus 2 over 4 gives me negative 1/4. And I will divide that by 2 because I'm doing x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Well, dividing by 2 is like multiplying by 1 over 2. All right, so I'm doing a lot of work here. Holy buckets. Let's see if I can make this a little bit easier to see. Hold on. 1 second. All right, so here's my work for x. Okay, remember negative 1/4. When I divide by 2, this is like 2 over 1. Any number, if I have 5, I can just think of that as 5 over 1. 6 can be 6 over 1. It's really negative 1/4. If I divide by a fraction, I multiply by the reciprocal, leave this first fraction alone, change this to multiplication, and leave, change, flip. Negative 1/8 is the x value of my midpoint. All right, so now I got to go back and find the y value. So I got negative 5 plus 4. I'm going to do this in blue. Okay, so I do -5 plus 4, which gives me -1. And I'm going to divide that by 2 to get -1/2. So my midpoint is -1/8, comma, -1/2. Today's big takeaways. All right, our big takeaways. What did we talk about today? We talked about finding and interpreting the mean or average of numbers, and we applied means, or we used means to applied problems. This would be an applied problem. We talked about the midpoint. Okay, so we talked about means and midpoint. Hope you can read that chicken scratch. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. All right, that's the end of the video for today. Adios.